What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. Anyways, let's talk about the market. So, as far as the market is going, I just want to say, so far, we have a double top leg structure, and the market showing some weakness right here. We're barely holding the support right here, but there is still that risk of more downside as we look at the gaps below. So I'll give you guys more details about this in just a minute. Just know a couple of things. In terms of our data, we just had wholesale inventories and all the other pieces of data come out. Just know that everything is very close to expectations. There's nothing else that's coming out for the rest of the day. So the market's going to be dictated by the algorithms and such, and we're going to be waiting to see how this ends up going. So with that being said, SPY has a bearish divergence double top leg structure right over here, here, and here. I mentioned to everyone if we couldn't break 609, expect some downside. Lo and behold, that is the move so far. Watch 605.6, that's our 20 EMA, as the first support. If that doesn't hold, the low gets retested around the 604 area. We actually held near gap supports, and then this gap is going to fill down to 604 if that fails. So I think that the odds favor us coming down to fill that gap. And then if that doesn't hold, I think 602 is going to be our next target. For now, SPY is going to be chopping a bit between 606 and 605, but there is a risk of more downside if we can't necessarily get a close above our 20 EMA. So I think the odds still favor SPY dipping lower. I think this could be dipping down to fill this gap. I think we might consolidate for a bit before we start to dip lower. So just watch that just to be safe. I will switch my view. If we break back above 608, we could turn back up, but I think that's very unlikely. I still think the odds favor downside, just to be more precise. For ES, I see the same thing going on. We tried to push up to this high. We had a bearish divergence. We had a double top leg structure and this nice rejection. The 50 EMA is currently at 6,063. That's going to be our main support. And we have resistance very close to about 6,080. So I think the odds favor us kind of shuffling very close to 6,080 before we continue to dip back down to 6,063. If that fails us, if 6,063 fails us, I think we dip close to about 6,050. So keep that in mind. There's going to be a risk of some downside. As far as Tesla goes, Tesla pumped very nicely to the 400s. We called out the 400s that were coming, but then I said, watch and see if Tesla will hold above 400. If it didn't hold, I said to watch 394 and then 390. If it did hold, I said to watch for more upside. What happened was we pushed to about 400, then we failed to hold, and we actually exceeded my targets to the downside in case it did get a dip. And now Tesla's barely holding 380. So if 380 fails us, now we're going to be looking for a temporary pullback. Keep in mind the whole market is pulling back. It's not just Tesla. So this pump came only to see a little bit of a dip. There's a big sell wall around that 400 area. That's also psychological. So we're going to be looking for this imbalance down here. Watch 380, then 374. If that fails us, we're looking for 369. Make sure you watch these levels closely. There is a risk of Tesla dipping lower with the broader markets, but for now, I just want to say that it's just shuffling near 380. Nvidia got this rejection off the news that came out involving the fact that in China, there's another probe opening involving their a lot of different things. But just know that there's a possible inverse head and shoulders here. We're looking for essentially 137 as our main support and 141 is our resistance. We'll see if 137 if it fails or holds. For now, I do think I think we might consolidate near 137. And we'll see if we get a bounce back up to reclaim 140. Otherwise, the share price is a little bit weaker. So make sure you watch the 200 EMA and we'll see how it goes from here. But overall, we're doing a good job at holding up. For Bitcoin, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We have resistance to watch for around 98,500. And this main support is going to be down here around 96,400. I think we could be dipping closer to the 96,000s if that does not hold. So look for more potential downside as another potential possibility. For NQ, we're rejecting here. We're going to be looking to see if we could hold our 20 EMA at 21,500. If that holds, we could be pushing higher back up towards 21,550. If it doesn't hold, there's going to be a risk of 21,420. So I think that what's going to happen to NQ is this. We do rebound a bit, but then we might end up rejecting and continue to fall later on. I think the lows could be retested because I still see weakness on this chart. Same thing with the QQQ. There's some weakness because we're struggling to get back above and hold above this previous resistance right here. So we got this rejection off 528. We did attempt to rebound, but I do think that we might revisit the 520 area. If that fails us, very close to the 20 EMA. Then we have this gap down here to fill around 517. So watch to see if that ends up being the case. For other factors out there, we have Apple, which is very strong. We had some bullish news that came out as they're going to be increasing their investments into AI. We're going to be looking for a target of about 248 to 250. I think there's a little bit more upside potential, but then we'll watch that resistance just to be safe. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're on a bit of a downtrend here. Notice that we were attempting to break out past the resistance only to reject back down. So we might just continue to stay within this channel. There is a risk of this dipping back down to about 238, and we'll see if we bounce or not. But the downtrend remains very, very consistent. For coin, we got this big rejection. We're looking for essentially 312, and then we have 324 as resistance. I think we could be dipping back down to 312, and we'll have to see how it goes from here. Might dip a little bit lower, so just be very careful with coin. There's that risk of downside. Amazon hit 230, it's struggling to hold above that, so there's going to be a risk of it dipping closer to about 226. Meta is also rejecting right here. We're looking for essentially 608 as our main support. If that fails us, we could be dipping closer to 600. So we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. Um, for now, it's trying to hold 608.5, but I do think there's a risk of it potentially losing this later on. So be careful. There's that risk of downside if that fails. Microsoft looks more bullish. On the other hand, we're looking for 448 as our target, then 450 if that breaks. And for Google, we're looking for 178 and then 180 as our targets. It still looks more bullish. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Know that SPY is showing some weakness right now. There's going to be a risk of more downside off this double top. And don't forget that despite that happening, I don't think this is going to be a crash or anything like that. This just looks like a temporary pullback. It's very healthy for the market to pull back a bit after so much upside. So in my opinion, I think that here's my view, guys. I think that we're just pulling back a bit for a bigger bounce towards the end of the year. I think that there's going to be a big rally and we're going to break all-time highs again. But before that happens, we could be dipping a little bit more. So just keep that in mind. This could last another day or so, another couple of days, depending on how CPI goes and factors like that. But just know there's going to be a risk of us dipping closer to about 604 to fill the gap, then 602 or below. And then we have 600 below that. We could be dipping to those supports. I think there's a very, very good chance of that happening. And then if that happens, those could be good, very, very good buying opportunities for this thing to bounce very nicely. So for now, we're just going to be very patient, give this some time to develop, and just know there is weakness on SPY and the QQQ. Once again, completely normal, but the overall trend is bullish. The overall direction is still more bullish as we're making higher highs and higher lows. So if we do dip a little bit, if we do dip down closer to the lower 600s, we could still see a massive bounce. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, so this looks like a very temporary dip for now. Keep that in mind. It's completely healthy. Don't be overly bearish and make sure you manage risks. Not financial advice when I say that. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours, and peace out.